Hello, everybody, to welcome back. I can't do it. I can't look at you. I can't do it.
Everyone in my family says the same thing. It's terrible being me.
It really is. It's even worse looking at you, let me tell you. But today's show on First Ring Daily is brought to you by cloudbearlab.com/FRD. Check them out, Cloudbear Lab. Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff about backup ransomware recovery and make your life a little bit better. And speaking of a little bit better, there's Paul Thurrott, who just prestiged and now has a little number tracking his kill count.
As I said to Brad, 19 hours of gameplay later, I got a little number on the side of my gun. Totally worth it.
And you wonder why people can't look at you in your household.
Yep. How's it going?
You know, it's going. I'm trying to figure out why there's random stereophonics coming from this microphone. I have no idea. I thought I figured it out yesterday, but apparently I was incorrect because...
Still happening.
Well, it doesn't make sense, though, because this thing is set up to be in mono, but it's like it picks it up. I don't know. I'm just going to flatten the audio in the post-production and see if that fixes it and gets people to stop emailing me.
You're never going to stop getting complaints.
No.
Audio issues are just a regular thing. You know, I started What the Tech yesterday. The first thing Andrew said was, "Oh, you seem a little hot. Do you think we could adjust your microphone?" I'm like, "Here we go." Because I know as soon as I do that, Windows Weekly is going to start today, and Leo's going to be like, "Oh, you're a little soft. Do you think we could adjust your microphone?" Yeah, it's just like a never-ending problem.
I joke that this thing is held together with duct tape, but I also don't joke that this thing is held together with actual duct tape.
Yeah.
So,
duct tape actually would be better than what it's held together with. At least that works.
He's not wrong, folks. He is not wrong. Speaking of things that aren't wrong, this little guy showed up yesterday, and I thought I wasn't allowed to talk about it, but apparently I am.
Neat.
I can't do a full and formal review, but this is a Surface Pro, and you would have absolutely no idea why this is special in any capacity, unless I flip the box around and point it to a very specific line item right up here. This is the LTE advanced version of the Surface Pro, which, as I told Paul, I honestly thought shipped several months ago, but as I learned, it is now coming soon, and I'll have more about that later, I guess.
Cool.
I would actually pull it out of the box because I did, but it's actually sitting over plugged in, updating, because that's the out-of-box experience, as I'm guessing it's downloading 1709 at this point.
Because, of course, it is, because it's a brand new Microsoft device. Why would it already be on the latest OS?
Yeah, and for those, I don't know, Paul, say something and I'll go grab it.
Say something. What am I saying? So the one thing we don't have in our notes, and Mehdi is now interrupting me, of course, because we're recording a podcast, and it's important that someone we work with interrupt us, is the Flutter PWA thing. Yeah, what does that say? Sorry, what?
No, sorry. So this was out of the actual out-of-box, so you go through and you log in, and then Cortana screams at you, and then you figure out how to silence it. After you log in and connect to Wi-Fi, it says getting your update ready. I opted in to install it, and so it's now sitting at 89%.
I don't think I've ever seen a screen like that.
Yeah, so I can hit this button down here and actually go to your desktop. So it's actually, there's the desktop, but that's
you should take a screenshot of that if you don't mind. I've never seen it.
How do I do that without? I guess I can do
snipping. Yep, you're gonna have to attach a keyboard.
Let me just do snipping tool. I always forget. There's some sort of button combination like Alt Q4 Batman symbol.
The only thing I ever remember on Surface is volume down plus power is how you boot off a USB.
Desktop? No,
the reason I remember that is because, wait for it, I've had to recover my Surface devices many times.
There we go. Screenshot acquired. This is the Windows 10 Update Assistant. Actually, what is this thing on?
Okay.
Let's just see here. About. If I could type about your PC. Yeah, it's on 1703.
That is astonishing. Make sure you point that out in your little write-up.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. So if it's with, well, I guess let's think about this. If this thing is with 1703, this thing had to have been built before 1709 shipped, right?
Well, I don't know. You know, maybe. I mean, I thought they launched this thing in December. Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
That is
I
bizarre.
don't think there's any way to find like a build date on this thing.
Well,
maybe.
Actually, there probably is. Maybe in the firmware.
What's on the back here? Made in China. No surprise there.
Shocker.
These are like the IMEIs, made in China, blah, blah, blah. Software version.
Put this thing into the firmware and see if it says.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if there is. That would actually be. Now I'm actually very curious to see when this thing was made.
Yeah, I'm going to guess it was November. But, anything later than that is almost no excuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other interesting thing is when you look at the rollout of 1709, you see that Microsoft's products are actually kind of near the top.
Yeah.
For getting the updates, so it's a little strange. Shoot.
But anyways, what did Mehdi want when he started interrupting, as always?
He was talking about I wrote an article about Flutter and PWA. I meant to send this. I texted him this morning. I meant to text both of you because I wanted you guys to take a look at it. I thought it was a really cool article, and because I thought it was a really cool article, that means it's not, and that all I'm going to do is get complaints. And sure enough, the first couple of comments already from people, bitching and moaning about whatever. I'm just looking at the firmware here for this thing. It does not say. It's funny. There's a screen that looks like it should say.
Yeah. I'm surprised it's not on the box.
Yep.
Like I've got a lot. Oh, lot number date.
Oh, really?
It says 1804. That makes no sense.
That might be the model.
Yeah.
I think the original one was like 1796 or something.
No. The actual model up here, it says the model number is 1807.
Oh.
But
right.
This makes. But no.
Yeah, this does have information in here that maybe would translate into a date.
Well, 1804 would be March of 18.
Or April of 18.
Or April of 18, which hasn't happened yet.
You're reviewing a device from the future.
This is interesting. I should ask them about this. Well.
So I assume you saw the latest Family Guy video.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one where I tell the IPA joke, which I'm still very proud of, by the way. That's a special video I will savor for the rest of my life.
Can we go back to the beginning of the show where you wondered why your family doesn't look at you?
Yep.
Yeah, but so yesterday, I cannot talk today. Yesterday the news came out that Amazon is actually buying Ring. Fun fact about this, which you'd have to verify your own details. Somebody put it out on Twitter. Paul, are you familiar with the show Shark Tank?
Yeah.
So apparently this company Ring went on Shark Tank like 2014, and they were valuing the company at $700,000, I believe. Jeez. Or maybe that's what they were asking. They were trying to get 10% of it, and they sold for over $1 billion to Amazon.
Yeah. I don't quite see how they're worth that much money, but on the other hand, I see this as a platform grab. And the article I wrote about this, which is a premium article, was about this notion that the problem for these assistants, the Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Samsung, Apple, whatever, is they're not sticky. And so if you're interested in any of this home automation stuff or smart home controls, whatever it might be, you can safely buy from a variety of vendors. And you can use any assistant with it. They'll all work fine, or they'll work to some degree. And that makes it easy to switch, assistants if you think about it. So, if you're on Android, you're probably just going to stick with the Google Assistant. If you're on Apple, you probably stick with what they have there, et cetera. But, people can switch phone platforms now, and they don't have to that doesn't have to be part of the decision, part of the fear. Like they're not going to lose all of their, or half their home controls or whatever. I'm a little nervous about this kind of thing. Google bought Nest a few years back. Now this is happening. Oh, and by the way, this happens on the wake of Google saying, hey, by the way, remember how we were running Nest as a separate company? Yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
Yep.
We're merging them with our hardware team. They're part of Google now. And this opens up the fear that these platform makers, Apple and Amazon and Google in this case, are going to use these acquisitions to shut out the competition, right? And I realize that's kind of a bleak, future view, but there is this possibility that Google in some future rendition of this stuff could say, hey, the Nest stuff works only with Assistant, or it works better with Assistant, or it will work with the other things, but that will happen later, that kind of thing. And
yeah.
I guess what I'm I guess what I'm shooting for here is, it's possible that Amazon's purchase was partially to protect from that happening. In other words, it will work much like patents work in the mobile world. That we have these arsenals of patents that different mobile companies have, and they're all aimed at each other, and you don't want to sue anyone because they'll sue you because everyone is violating everyone's patents. So we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, it was hard for me to not kind of see this in a really negative light. I mean, or more of a worrying light, I guess. So we'll see what they actually do with these things. But yeah, it's a lot of money. Very interesting.
I say this looking at my Sonos speaker, worrying that they are probably ripe to be picked. I mean, they have a very loyal following. They have a very good product. They have smart home speaker savviness, if you want to call it that.
Until Apple did their own thing, I think everyone would have guessed if you had to pick one company that would buy Sonos, who would you pick? And Apple would have been the answer. It is very interesting that they went their own route. They could have entered this market very seamlessly just by buying that company. But, Apple likes to go their own way. So
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. They should be. Yeah, they should be a prime acquisition target. Those products are great.
Yeah. One other quick thing to show note today, folks. Age of Empires, the definitive edition, launched last week, and I got a bunch of tips about it, and I kind of just didn't think too much of it, but then I got a bunch more, and basically.
Brad, quick question before you get into how it's performing and so forth. Do you have access to this game yet?
No, I didn't buy it.
If you don't, I have a code I'd like to flash on the screen for everyone to see.
Could you?
I'll wait this time.
Oh God! But I did play this game as a kid. I should say in my teenage years. So I'm quite familiar with it. But apparently, the definitive edition is more of along the lines of definitively crap, mostly because there's hundreds of reports of people saying the game just crashes, and it's not just crashing that has me concerned here. One, this is a kind of a first look probably for a lot of people of the Microsoft Store. So they go to the store, they buy this game, and it doesn't work. And then you couple this onto the last time Microsoft had a big game like this where they were resurrecting some old IP, which was the Master Chief Collection. And Paul, how well did the Master Chief Collection launch go?
It got off to a bad start, although I don't remember who wrote this. There was a story that just came out maybe yesterday that basically makes the case that the Master Chief Collection on Xbox One X makes Microsoft's strategy all make sense. So it has obviously improved dramatically.
Sure.
But I think the phrase dumpster fire is being kind to describe how that thing launched. And they admitted this. They've written about it. Microsoft worked for months and months to fix that problem. But yeah, it didn't get off to a good start.
Yeah, so the long story short here is if you're thinking about buying the Age of Empires, there have been a couple updates which some people have said have improved it, but if you go look at the store ratings for this definitive edition, it's about 2.25 stars with the vast majority of ratings saying the game just doesn't work. One of the best remedies that they are suggesting is that, Paul, if this game does not open after you download it, they recommend you go to the store and download any other free app and then see if that fixes it.
Priming the pump kind of thing?
I don't know.
What is that? Okay. This platform's great. I think it has a big future. UWP for the win,
Yeah, the thing that kind of concerns me about this too, other than the fact that it's giving people a bad taste of the store, is that when you actually go to their potential remedy page, it's not like one or two things. It is a scrolling masterpiece of potential suggestions, which means that either A, they have no idea what's doing this, or B, there's multiple causes of calamity, and it's really just kind of another... I'm going to wire up a sad trombone sound. I think we need that, because that's where...
What the hell they did this game? I know it has potentially 4K graphics depending on your system and so forth, but these are games, a game and then an add-on that date back to the 1990s, right? I mean, this is from a long time ago.
Yep.
And they have committed to remastering Age of Empires 2 and 3 as well, by the way. So what is this thing? Like, I know they have backward compatibility on Xbox. I mean, do they literally run this in like some kind of weird container where it pretends you've got whatever graphics and does it kind of emulate like an old PC or something? Like, how does this even work?
To be honest, I don't even know. They did update the graphics, though. So they did remaster it to some point, which makes me think that maybe they modernized the container that it sits within.
Yeah.
But I don't fully know. I just know that it ships through the store, and then it ships to your PC, and then for a good chunk of the people, it just never opens. Yep. Yep. Paul, I've noticed that we've made it through most of this episode, and there's no cat.
Yeah, she's not. So in the ongoing saga that is my cats versus the dog, I actually brought my camera into the room with me today because I thought there was a good potential. I want to catch that moment, where the two animals are kind of nose to nose, because this happens a lot. But there was a milestone today, which is the cat and the dog both slept in the same room off by themselves. Like they just, I don't know who went first or how it worked, but I walked into the kitchen. I could see through the, the angle there. And I'm like, oh my God, like the dog is sleeping, the cat is sleeping. Like that's a kind of a big milestone. So I took a picture of it. But anyway, the cat was just kind of milling around. Like the dog was on the, she's just walking around the house. So she normally ends up here and she needs a lot of attention. But because she got a lot of attention earlier, I guess, out in the other parts of the house, she is not in here. So when I went up to take a shower, she ran upstairs with me. And I guess she stayed there. So I am actually A-okay with that.
Here's something that's even better. So this machine is sitting at 90% now. I don't know what it was when I first brought it over, 80 something. It's doing whatever. But so I figured I would go into settings because this is a brand new machine. I'm Joe Consumer. I just walked out of the Microsoft store with my brand new. I don't know how much this particular one costs, but probably $1,200-$1,500, something like that, because it's LTE or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go to settings because I wanted to see if it would tell me, like, how far along it is and all that stuff. And what it says your device is at risk because it's out of date and missing important security updates.
By the way, I tweeted that picture fairly recently, and basically the point is, this is a really alarming thing to put on a screen the first time anyone sees it. There is no reason for that.
And you will never see it there, but it's in nice red text.
Yeah, no, you see that every time you install Windows. Like you said, when you get a new computer, that is one of many, many things that Microsoft gets wrong from a sort of first boot experience. Like it's just the wrong thing to do.
Oh, I wonder if I can get Edge to do this.
Edge doing its thing is also one of the wrong things that it does, Also, I'm curious, this will change in 1803, but even if you bring up like a brand new 1709 machine now, it still comes up with the old version of the Windows Store, and then it updates on first pass.
So this is brilliant. I opened Edge. I should have not, in case somebody thinks I'm like lying or whatever. You can do this at home, folks. Do a clean install of Windows and then open Edge. This is what it does on a touch device. This is how Edge opens. What happens here is that
it goes somewhere today.
Yeah, well, it opens and then does this little thing. Hey, we're faster, and does this little animation, and then this giant thing pops up and screams at you, and you can't even see it because the stupid keyboard it keeps opening. It says, "Give me your phone number." Give me your phone number so you can download the mobile apps, because what's going to happen is somebody's going to open this thing. I just wanted to go to Yahoo, and my computer's screaming at me that I have to give it its phone number.
If you were to read any guide to app development, mobile or otherwise, and I coincidentally just did read one about mobile app development, one of the little tidbits you'll get as a bit of advice is don't ask the user to do anything the first time the app opens.
Yeah.
Gently introduce them to the app. Maybe step them through a little thing that shows you what's going on. And then the first time they need to do something that might require them to sign in or whatever, do it then. Just let them see it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people confronted by like a prompt will say, nope, I'm not doing this.
Yep. Well, to your exact point, I think it would make a lot of sense that maybe on the third or fourth opening, you're like, hey, enjoy using Edge? Use it on your phone as well.
We notice you are using Microsoft Edge, The problem is if they waited for that to happen, that prompt would never appear.
Yeah, I mean, it's gigantic. It's 3/4 of the
Look at the cute little Edge phone guy. He looks like one of those little Gumby things or whatever. Gumby? Yeah. Little rubbery character.
I can make it bigger. Oh, you can. You can. Nope. This is magic in the making right here, folks. So you can zoom in like
That's
that.
amazing.
But if you zoom in,
it zips down.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It just works. It's fantastic. I'll have more about this lovely piece of hardware here in the near future. I'm optimistic about the hardware, not so much about that first boot Edge experience. I mean, this is kind of a disaster. So think about this. The person who bought this machine, the first thing they see is, red text that my stuff is out of date, and then they try to get on the internet and it wants its phone number.
No, well, it's even worse than that. The first time it comes on, you get Cortana screaming at you, and then for some reason, she just goes on this extended speech about nothing. Little Wi-Fi here, a little Wi-Fi there. It's like, why on earth do we need to be confronted with something like that? That's so terrible.
You know what?
And then my other favorite thing about that, the way you turn her mouth off, the way you turn the sound off, is not to hit a speaker button. You hit a microphone button. That's not obvious. Anyway, I hate the whole thing.
You know what? I don't know. I doubt there's any guides out there, and Microsoft would be pissed off. But you know what? We're in that business. I really should turn my Surface Studio into a Hackintosh.
Jeez. Well, the problem with that is Mac or Apple will enable you to touch everything on a Mac except for the screen. So it's kind of like the opposite of a Mac, really.
Well, more so, it's probably been 3 years. When did Windows 10 come out? When did the beta start coming? Because that's when I stopped using a Mac completely.
3.5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, since
October
I've used a Mac.
2018.
What I would be very curious is actually what that first boot experience is like on Mac OS compared to Windows.
Oh, yeah. Right. I just did do that recently. I mean, the thing I will say on the Apple side is that those setup experiences on iOS and on the Mac used to be very streamlined, and you could hold them up as an example of something that was way better than what Microsoft was doing. And Microsoft has worked to remove steps from setup, which in some cases I think are problematic. Like, you can't name your machine. It often gets the time zone wrong, so you don't get to pick that. They've cut out some steps. On the Apple side, and this is true on the Mac too, there's actually a lot more steps now than there used to be. Like, there's a big privacy thing, just like Microsoft has. It doesn't have the switches like Microsoft, but one of the things you see on the latest version of macOS and iOS is a full screen on the devices, but a big screen, big window, privacy. We believe that privacy is a fundamental human right. It's like everyone has to put like a little manifesto about privacy into these things now. So that's actually one of the weird areas where Apple's gone in the opposite direction.
You got anything else for today, Paul?
No, I'm just going to bask in the glory of the feedback to my developer article because I know it's going to keep going great. And yeah. How about you?
I'm actually doing a webinar today, so that will be entertaining and educational for those that are curious about that. But I will tell you that I did not make it to the driving range yesterday. It was completely underwater, and the whole golf course was closed, and I wept. And so I went to a golf store and bought a new driver head cover for $14. So
I would have just set up a bucket in the parking lot and lobbed the balls over the fence.
Well, one of the guys I went to at the golf store, I was talking to him, and he's like, the thing that people don't think about, because if you remember, I went there like 2 weeks ago, and it was flooded, and I was hitting balls into lakeside property, what it looked like, or into the water. And he's like, you got to think about it, though. They're not recovering those balls. He goes, I would be surprised if they actually had any for you to hit on the driving range, because they can't go out into the water and recover them until it drains.
Right.
So
that's funny. Well, there'll be a million balls out there in a week or two or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I think the water's starting to go down, hopefully. Although it's supposed to rain today. So.
Hooray.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that wraps it up for today. Oh, no, it stopped. Bring it back. There it is. Today's show is brought to you by Cloudberry Lab. Check them out, cloudberrylab.com/FRD for a free trial offer that will eventually go away. So make sure to go grab that and learn how to back up your data to Azure, S3, Google Cloud, Backblaze, anything really. And we'll catch you right back here tomorrow, and tomorrow's Thursday, so it's not a live show. And we apologize for that, but not really. Have a good day.